From the blog Random Sweets, I'm Staci Mergenthal, and this is Funeral Potatoes and Wool Mittens, a show for people who embrace the warm and cozy spirit of everyday living in the northern Midwest. Do you have childhood favorite meals? In this episode, my son Sajen Perry shares a few of his favorite childhood comfort meals like beer chili spaghetti, hot dog casserole with potato chips, pepperoni pasta bake, and chip and mint ice cream brownie dessert with hot fudge. And he tells me a little story about the butterscotch muffins and the sausage breakfast egg bake that he and his hockey team liked so much. Plus, he shares why he and his friends spent their free time in high school in a music studio they created. Sajen starts college this fall to study business management at Dakota State University. He played hockey in middle and high school, and we will never forget his 2015 Bantam B state championship game when he sniped a laser goal from the blue line to tie up the score in a pivotal moment in the game, changing the team's momentum, and they proceeded to win in regulation. He spends as much time as he can with his girlfriend Sydney and their dogs Rowdy and Castaway, and at the lake in the summer. You could ask him just about anything about the NHL, and he could probably answer. Now, let's go talk childhood comfort meals with Sajen. Well, we're here with Sajen, my son. I'm out at his acreage out here in southern Brookings, South Dakota. And we have lots of snow here. It's the middle of winter, so it's a good time to talk about comfort food, that's for sure. We don't have our grills out, most of us.
Nope. I mean, we have it out, but we're not using it.
They're buried. Well, yours isn't quite, but they're kind of buried underneath a lot of snow. Our food is mostly in the oven. And well, that reminds me, you went for a whole year without even having an oven or a stove, right?
It was probably close to 2 years. 2 years that we went without having one because of the element or whatever was burnt out in it. And yeah, we were going to get around to fix it, but we never did.
Right.
And then, eventually we moved here, so we didn't.
So did you use your air fryer and your pizza thing? Yeah. What did you do?
Yeah, we used the air fryer and the conventional oven, the little thing up there.
The pizza.
Yep.
Yeah.
The little pizza oven.
You can make a lot of food in there.
Not really. I mean, just a lot of frozen chicken nuggets, and we didn't really eat very good for that one.
For a couple of years.
Yeah,
and I didn't know that for at least, until you started kind of talking about moving to this place. Mm-hmm. I didn't even know that your oven wasn't working, or I would have made meals for you.
I kind of mentioned it to Dad because we were trying to get it fixed, but I never really, said anything to anyone else. Mm-hmm. So
You're a pro at the air fryer now.
I think you brought me food one time, and I told you then that we haven't had like a casserole or anything for a long time because our oven was broken, and your jaw just dropped.
I know when it was. Do you remember in your other place? So I came with my computer and asked you to help me with Logic Pro so I could figure out how to do a podcast.
Okay, yep. Uh-huh.
And then I think that's when you told me when I was sitting in your kitchen. Well, speaking of Logic Pro, I asked you to kind of help me because that's the program that I'm using to record the podcast. Mm-hmm. You self-taught when you were in high school. You wanted to make music, and so what made you're like, I'm going to learn Logic Pro? You came to me and said, I want Logic Pro for Christmas.
I don't really know exactly what made me decide that. I know that my friend Joel was a pretty big influence in it because we hung out all the time, and I couldn't tell you exactly what, but we both pretty much the same day woke up and wanted to make music. I don't know what it was, and we thought, well, the garage that we had at Dad's was a perfect spot. To put it. We had a little stall to put my studio, and so we tried it, and it ended up becoming, for a long time, we did it every weekend. Mm-hmm. Joel and I were in there all the time messing around doing it, and we did self-teach ourselves just through YouTube videos. Never took any courses or anything. I just watched YouTube videos, and Joel would watch YouTube videos, and we'd kind of like combat what we both have learned. And so if I was doing something and he noticed that, you could do it easier this way, he'd tell me. Or if I noticed something he was doing, we just did it pretty much every weekend for a long time. I haven't done it for a while now, but
You guys have music, or did have, I don't know, do you still have music on SoundCloud?
Yeah, there's still some out there, yeah. Eventually I got the pro subscription thing. They sent it through SoundCloud, where once your song gets a certain amount of plays, you can start to sign up for where it makes money off of it. And we ended up not doing it, but it's from SoundCloud, and it says your track so-and-so has passed, I think it was 1,000 or 2,000 plays, and you can start to like sign up to earn money off it, which I mean, that's like 1 cent every however many plays, but it was still kind of cool to see that.
Yeah, that you had met that threshold. And I swear it wasn't me that listened to it 999 times.
I know, there was a lot of people in our school, because we were in high school when we did it, and so it was...
You were in hockey together at the time.
Yeah, it was a talk around the high school. I mean, whether people were saying, oh, it's trash or whatever. I mean, people were talking about it in high school.
Right.
And so people were playing it, whether they liked it or not. I mean, they were playing it, so...
Well, and at some point you had talked about going to college for making music, and one in Arizona that didn't turn out to be... That was a lot more of the... tech engineer, not making music. It's
more engineering rather than music production.
Yes, okay, so I'm saying,
it was more audio engineering than music production. So it was everything from video game sounds to the movie sounds and all that stuff, sound effects or whatever.
Yeah.
Not just the music production. And so all the little dials that looks crazy when you walk in a studio, you know what every single one of those things do. It's kind of like an airplane when you walk in and there's just all the switches. You don't know what half of it does.
But then we kind of looked into, there's a college that is more music production up in Minneapolis, and kind of talked about that. But you took some gap time after high school, and now you're actually
kind of just decided on a different thing to go to school for. We'll be going to, and I don't know, it's kind of the same with what made me pick it up. I don't really know what stopped it, kind of like, I don't know, I mean, I think it was more just a pastime thing to do, more to pass time with friends. I mean, 'cause, it's a small town. There wasn't a whole lot. I mean, and our bowling alley back then wasn't very nice, so that wasn't one thing we could really do. So besides that, we were either playing hockey or at the movie theater or doing stuff we probably shouldn't do. So
you did a little bit of that. You kept us on our toes.
I think it was kind of just a pastime thing to try to pass some time, because
and creative. So you had an outlet, and you and Joel, you're both that way. You would write songs. Not just the music, but the words too, and that's pretty neat. This fall, you'll be going to Dakota State out of Madison and doing a business degree of some sort.
Online business,
We're pretty proud of you.
Yeah, I can't wait. I mean, I haven't been to school for now. It's 2 years or so here, but it'll be nice to kind of get back into it. And
Well, speaking of school, the last year or two that you were in high school, we lived less than a block from the high school. And so it was fun for me because you would come for lunch and I would be able to make meals for you. So today we're going to kind of talk about a few of those of your favorite meals or recipes. Most of them are already on randomsweets.com because I have made them so much, but a couple of them you've actually then picked up and made here yourself at your house.
Yeah, I mean, one that I was going to ask you about, because it was just on your last podcast too, was the chicken and rice that you and Kalani just talked about. I was going to ask you what spices and stuff you usually used for the chicken, because I know it was pretty simple, but I don't remember exactly what it was. I don't know if you would have known, remember that off the top of your head.
Yep, I probably would have switched it up a couple of times. I didn't always use
there was a couple of different ones, but there was one that you did a lot more times. It was just kind of like a dry seasoned. It wasn't like a teriyaki sauce. It was
I think
just
I know what it is.
Chicken breast, and you diced it up. And
I
didn't use soy sauce like Kalani did, but I liked that a lot.
So I would just take chicken breast, skinless, boneless chicken breast, and dice them up, and then heat up some olive oil, or you could just do vegetable oil in a pan, and then toss in the cut up chicken and use whatever seasoning you want. I think the one that I probably used the most, that you would have liked, is a Kowalski's from Kowalski's Market. So they have their own store brand of seasoning.
Yep.
And that one is one of my favorites. So I probably would have used it a lot, and it's almost gone. So that's why I'm thinking I would have used that the most. And then I would just make white rice on the side. And then, like you said, you didn't like to add soy sauce to that rice, but Kalani did.
I'm not a big soy sauce person. It's too salty for me, I think.
That's why I like it, because I like the salt.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just the salt, but I don't know.
Yeah. But that's just such an easy go-to
That's kind of why I was, when you brought that up, lunch meals that I used to always eat at lunch in high school, that was one of them. And I remembered, and it's super easy. So it just kind of brought that up on my mind when you brought that up.
And sometimes when I was just by myself, I would do chicken enough for a couple days worth, and then I would just make a little bit of rice each time. Just because I like the rice to be a little more fresh. Rice after it's put in the fridge, I think for a little bit it's different. Yeah.
I think it kind of like noodles where they kind of get stuck. I don't know how to, like, it kind of gets stuck together in clumps. It's weird.
A little tip for pasta. If you say you make spaghetti and you have a bunch of spaghetti left over and noodles, like the sauce and the noodles, if you put a little bit of water in the noodles, not a lot, and then put them in the refrigerator the next day when you take them out to heat them up, they're not all stuck to each other. Right. Pasta water is the best secret. The hot pasta water.
Take
some of that out first and set it aside.
I've never really used that until one time. It was in one of your recipes, and I don't remember which one it would have been for, but
it might have been the pepperoni.
I think it might have been that. Yeah, the spaghetti bake. And I had never done that because I don't cook a whole lot, and so I didn't really realize that was a thing until I saw that. And I was asking like Sydney about it. I was like, "What is the purpose of this? Like, why am I doing this right now?" Yeah, but it makes sense.
Yeah. The best thing is if you have for me, what I use is a glass measuring cup that has a handle. So it's really easy to just dip into the water. But you could definitely just have something set aside and then use a ladle or something and take out the pasta water. But it just helps, like, even if I'm just making plain old spaghetti, I drain the noodles. But as long as I have a little of that pasta water set aside, you have this pot with all this dry pasta. You can add just a little bit of that water and it moistens it up, instead of it being in one big clump. And
I know, obviously, stirring the spaghetti noodles the whole time is one big thing that some people don't do, and so then it does get super stuck. Yeah. But
some
even
people
when I stir it up a lot, it seems like sometimes they're just starchy, and I don't know.
Some people add olive oil to the water when it's boiling, and I've done that before, but the sauce just slides right off of your pasta then when you're trying to eat. It's like, how come my sauce isn't sticking to the pasta? Well, because I just put olive oil on. It's sliding off like suntan lotion.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So that's chicken and rice, but we can talk about the pasta. What do I even call it? Baked spaghetti marinara with tiny pepperoni. I don't know.
I don't know what the tag is on your website. I can't remember. I usually just call it spaghetti bake. Because it kind of just reminds me of egg bake, in a noodle form. Yeah.
So I'm pretty impressed. You've texted me before and you've made that yourself.
Yeah. A lot of it was for the first week, and so that we got into this house and we actually had an oven. I was really happy to start making some actual food, and so I was on your website trying to find anything that I used to eat as a kid that I would remember and make it. And with the spaghetti bake, I had to make a little bit of changes because Sydney doesn't like pepperoni. Okay. So I changed it up a little bit so that she either wouldn't have any in there or made it easier for her to pick them out. Sure. And stuff. But besides that, it was, I just went straight on the website and made what I remember as liking from a kid and started to use my oven because I hadn't had one for 2 years.
Yeah. I like that spaghetti bake. Yeah. And it takes like a few steps because you have a little egg and cheese that you're mixing together and then stirring that into the cooked noodles, and you have to cook the spaghetti noodles ahead of time. And
I think too what I like about it is it's one of those casseroles that's like pretty much just as good as it was when it like came out of the oven, just warming it up in the microwave. I know some casseroles are a little different sometimes, like that hot dog casserole. I mean, now if you don't put the chips on it, it's not bad. But if you put the chips on it, they're too soggy. And so now once it's warmed up, it's not very good anymore.
Yeah.
But I think spaghetti bake's one because it's just noodles and like a cheese like on the top of a pizza. So I think that's another reason I like it too is I can make a pretty decent sized pan and stick it in the fridge and eat it for leftovers for a couple days. Not too long, but a couple days I have some lunch and supper.
So the hot dog casserole that you mentioned with the potato chips, I almost forgot about that till today. And you and I were talking, and that recipe came from your Aunt Heidi, so my sister Heidi.
Yeah.
It was called like the T-Boys
something. I don't know what we used to
hot dog
call
casserole
it.
or something.
But yeah, it was, her 3 kids liked it. That's where you got it. And it used to, we'd make it with the chips on it. And then, I don't remember how long ago you started to decide to make it without.
When you told me to.
And then put the chips on top. And it makes it that much better. It just keeps the crunch to the chips. And the saltiness from the chips is like still there. I just feel like it kind of goes away when you cook it onto the casserole.
Yeah. I think when you were in high school and having school lunch, there was just a time, I don't know how it came up, but you or Kalani, somebody told me you like it better without the chips baked on the top. You like to just take the chips and crunch it once it's baked. And so then I stopped baking them on there. But
one less step, I guess, to put chips on there.
And then you can have as many.
If people don't want it, they can eat it without the chips then, if they don't want the saltiness from the potato chip in there.
And the leftovers, when you bake something like that on the top, the leftovers, like you said, they get soggy.
Too soggy to make it again like that.
That casserole is just frozen diced potatoes, so not hash browns, but you use frozen diced potatoes. Okay. And then a couple of soups, like cream of chicken maybe, or cheese soup. And then hot dogs. You just slice up hot dogs. And you can just slice them up and throw them in there, but I always like to slice them up and then fry them a little bit because I like my hot dogs. I like to know that it was kind of cooked.
I like, personally, when I eat a hot dog on a bun, I like a little bit of black charcoal to it. Yeah. So I probably would do the same thing. I don't want it like dark charcoal black, but I kind of like my hot dogs to look like they've been over a fire almost.
Yeah, they kind of shrivel
roasted,
up.
Kind of roasted over a fire. That's how I like my hot dogs too.
Yeah. So that would even be good. I've never done this, but how good would that be when you're grilling in the summer? When you're grilling hot dogs, do a whole package of extra ones so that the next day you could make the casserole with the grilled hot dogs. That would taste really good because you've got hot dogs, potatoes, and potato chips. And then you just bake it, but you would put like a Ruffles potato chip on the top. And now we don't bake it that way, but similar to cheesy hash browns or funeral potatoes, we put like cornflakes on the top and butter and bake it, which is fine. But then when you have leftovers, that cereal gets kind of soggy and it's hard to crisp up again. That's what I think of a
lot of casseroles and sides like that. They're not very good warmed up once you put them in the or once you put them in the fridge and then try to microwave them. It's not the same, but
I usually fry whatever I have for leftovers. Like even I made meatloaf last week. Once it was sliced and then there were leftovers, I would fry them because they get sort of crispy and I like that. Same with tater tot hot dish. I won't just rebake it in the oven. I will put it in a little frying pan and I will fry the tater tot hot dish.
Never done that.
And if it seems really dry, you can add just a little bit of salted butter and then that kind of helps fry it and then you'll have it kind of get crispy.
I've never done that.
Yeah.
Some things I don't mind leftovers, but some things I'm not as big of a fan. To reheat pizza, I started doing the stovetop reheating pizza.
Oh, okay.
Because usually I just did it in the air fryer, but then it gets super soggy.
It does in the air fryer?
The bottom, unless you want to put it in there for long enough, but then you're cooking it again, basically. And so then it's kind of getting brown up again on the top. It's just, if you want to make it crispy again in the air fryer, you got to put it in for a decent amount of time. But then it starts getting, the crust kind of just loses its almost sponge to it, like how a crust should be. Yeah. It basically just goes to a crunchy air
like
fried.
A crouton.
It's dried out crouton crust. So I started doing the stovetop. I know Jason had did it before for me once. You just put your stovetop to whatever, like a medium heat, and put your pizza in there, and you just add a little bit of water. Well, I mean, you let it sit there for a little bit, and the bottom crisps up a tiny bit, and you add just a tiny little bit of water in the pan, and then put the lid on, and it steams up, and it melts all the cheese and everything, just like it kind of came out of the oven from delivery, like you just got the pizza. And it's so much better that way. I mean, I used to just do it in the air fryer, and I started making my own pizzas too, instead of getting like the Jack's pizzas. I usually get Jack's or Tombstone's frozen pizzas, but obviously everything's gone up in price. But I mean, just a regular little Jack's pizza is like freaking $5 now. And so I got pizza crusts. It's like the Pillsbury tube things of pizza crust and pizza sauce and pepperonis and cheese, and I just make my own pizzas now. And so a lot of times I'll have leftover pizza because it'll make a pretty big pizza. And so a lot of times, because Sydney doesn't eat it, she won't eat pizza.
Oh, okay.
She does. I mean, unless it's like a chicken Alfredo pizza or something.
Oh, that's right.
She doesn't
eat
like
pizza
the
or
red
chocolate.
sauce. Yeah, she doesn't like the red sauce, I think is what it is, and pepperonis. So she'd eat like a chicken Alfredo pizza and stuff, or like a barbecue chicken, but she doesn't eat just your regular cheese or pepperoni pizza that you get from a delivery place. And I'll make a whole pizza, and a lot of times I won't eat it because they're bigger than a frozen Jack's pizza or something. So I started reheating it on the stovetop again, and it's way better. Crisps it up, and the cheese melts from that steam on the top.
Right.
I thought it was the weirdest thing.
Right.
When I heard of it, I was like, that's just going to make your pizza soggy. But it does the complete opposite.
I like that you make your own pizza too, because then you can control or have the cheese that you like most on it, or add more pepperonis.
The sauce I've been using is a lot of what I like too, is the pizza sauce I get to use, rather than it just being whatever sauce they use on those frozen pizzas.
We're really on a roll for red sauce, so how about beer chili spaghetti?
Beer chili spaghetti? Yeah, I haven't had that since the last time you made it too. When was that? You made quite a bit of it for us, and that was the first time Sydney had it, and she really liked it.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if I ever told you about that.
I don't know. Okay.
But yeah, she really liked it.
I'll make some for you again. It's really easy though, so I know you guys can do it.
I was gonna make it the other night. We ended up going out to eat, I think. But
we end up
I was looking at it the other night.
To buy the 6-pack of beer. It's a dark ale. Okay. I can't remember what kind I use, but it's not a beer that I drink. And so you do end up having to buy, so I could probably give you a couple of bottles from my 6-pack so that you don't have to go buy a whole 6-pack, because you end up having to...
How much do you usually use?
The whole bottle. You
just
use the whole bottle.
One whole bottle?
Yeah, one whole bottle.
Is it like a regular, whatever, the 12 ounce?
Yeah, just a regular size bottle of beer, but you're using 2 pounds of hamburgers, so it's a big batch. So if you made it here for you in Sydney...
It'd be quite a bit.
It would be a lot, which is okay, because if you know that, you can get some freezer bags and just portion them out and put them in freezer bags, and then set them in the fridge, in the freezer, so that you can have beer chili spaghetti, probably at least 4 meals out of one batch for you guys. I think the biggest thing is the seasonings for that. When you see the seasonings list, you're like, oh my gosh, Mom, it takes like 10 different seasonings.
Yeah, I could see it. I mean, that spice it has is definitely... It's not like outrageously spicy, but you can definitely tell there's a kick to it. You feel your nostrils clearing out and everything a little bit.
There's cayenne pepper in there. There's chili powder, but then there's like the garlic salt, onion powder. What I can do is, when I put those spices together, I will take like 4 little 4-ounce little mason jars, and then make that seasoning blend, basically, so that when I want to make beer chili spaghetti, I'm not just ready. Yeah, I'm not like, oh, it seems like a pain in the butt, because you have to sit and get all those seasonings out, and then half the time you're out of 1 or 2 of them, or something.
Maybe someday I'll just, once one of those is gone, just empty it out or whatever and clean it out and keep it and make beer chili spaghetti and just put it in one of the seasoning things I already have.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't know it takes that much. I knew it had quite a bit because of the heat that it has to it, but I didn't know how many seasonings.
I mean,
really
maybe 10. I don't even know if it's 10. But to me, if it's more than 4, it seems like a lot. When you get past all the seasonings, all you're doing is having fried ground beef and adding those seasonings, a can of tomato sauce, and a bottle of beer. And then you make spaghetti. Well, of course, one of the best things I like is adding the shredded cheddar cheese on the top and then a little bit of red onion.
I don't do that, but I think Sydney did that because she does it to her chili as well.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So I think she did that when she tried the beer chili spaghetti. I think she put cheese on top.
That's my favorite part is the shredded cheddar and diced red onion. Just adds a little bit more kick to it, but obviously you have to like red onion.
Oh yeah, I think Sydney does. I'm not a big fan, but...
Then the other day you said something to me about, I saw the brownie chip and mint ice cream cake.
Yep. Yeah, I have not made that yet, but I was just scrolling through your blog and I saw it, and it just reminded me of having it all the time.
So I have a picture when you and Nick, so your cousin Nick, his birthday's on May 14th and yours is May 17th. Yep. So a lot of times you would have your birthday parties together. Yep. And do you remember when we did one at the nature park?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the last time I think I made it.
Okay. I do remember that in the back room we did that.
Mm-hmm. I have a picture of that ice cream cake.
Okay.
And so, basically you could do any kind of ice cream. So you bake a pan of brownies and then you have ice cream. And we love grasshopper, the chip and mint.
the mint chip ice cream with it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you let that get soft enough that you can get it out of the carton and spread it over the cooled brownies. You don't want to put it on hot brownies. Spread it over the top, and then you just stick it back in the freezer until the whole thing freezes again. Then when you take it to the party, you want like a hot fudge.
Yep.
That's one of the best things to have hot fudge.
Yeah. It was so
and
good.
some whipped cream.
Yeah. It wouldn't be something Sydney would eat, but I would definitely eat it. So I'd probably have to make it a little bit smaller of a portion than what's on your website, but because again, she doesn't like chocolate, so a lot of chocolate in there, she wouldn't eat it. But
no,
I'll have to just do maybe half a carton, make a little smaller, because obviously ice cream can sit in there for a while, but I don't eat ice cream like on a crazy basis. Sydney does. She loves ice cream,
but not chocolate, probably.
No, it's always like a butter
pecan.
Bunch caramel ones. She likes caramel.
Well, they make brownie mixes a lot of the brownie mixes nowadays are for like an 8x8 or 9x9 square pan, so it is a little bit smaller. I
didn't notice that. I made a box of brownies and I didn't really think of it. Put it in a 9x13 pan.
Were they?
And I go to look at the baking instructions and there was no 9x13, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna guess, I guess. And I mean, it worked out. They
were probably pretty thin.
But they were a lot thinner, and it worked out. But I didn't really realize that they because I thought they always were usually a 13x9 type size pan that they put on those boxes.
I think that was more common a long time ago, but things just have changed and they're making them smaller. And so it's a smaller pan. And you could always do something similar where if you made a pan of brownies, you could cut up portions of a brownie serving and then just freeze all of those. And then when you're hungry for that dessert, take out a brownie and let it thaw, add your ice cream, and then just put on your hot fudge, and you have your own one dessert. And you might have, if you get nine good-sized brownies out of that little pan, you have 9 times that you can have that dessert by yourself.
Yeah.
So speaking of chicken strips, chicken and a biscuit, chicken strips. Yep. I about cried when you sent me a picture one day a couple years ago when Sydney made you chicken and a biscuit, chicken strips, and mashed potatoes.
At our apartment thingy above the garage is where that was.
Yes. Yep. And it was the sweetest thing. You guys are sitting there eating that, and I think it
was like our 2-year anniversary, I think it was for. And I had to work, like, I don't know, it was like a 5 to 11 shift or something like that. And so I got home kind of late. But she made that for us. And mashed potatoes. And she made some sort of dessert as well that night, if I remember, but I can't remember exactly what it was.
Yeah, I don't remember
But
that.
I was actually looking at that picture not too long ago. That picture of me and her sitting there eating it.
Yeah, the chicken in a biscuit chicken strips are just chicken in a biscuit crackers, and your chicken strips are rolled in there, and you bake them, and
it's pretty simple.
Good flavor.
Yeah, but it's good. You gotta think of sometime a way maybe to make that dessert like a cookie style of it, maybe instead of a brownie for Sydney.
Oh, yeah.
Because she eats chocolate chip cookies a little bit. Like if there's not a whole lot of chocolate in there, she'll eat some. But
well, you can take
just like vanilla ice cream and like cookie would be good even,
yes.
rather than a brownie. And
so you can take cookie dough, and instead of making cookies, you can put it in a 9x9 pan.
Just make it kind of like a brownie.
Yes.
But
and then you could do a sugar cookie or whatever kind of cookie like that. Chocolate chip, if she didn't mind that. And then you could put butter pecan. Oh my gosh, you could put butter pecan ice cream and then get the caramel sauce.
Yeah.
That Mrs. Richardson's jar is a butterscotch caramel. My gosh.
Not the butterscotch, but she's got the jar of that brand, I'm pretty sure.
The caramel.
I think you gave her one time actually.
Oh, okay.
You gave her a jar of that. And she loved it.
It's so good.
Yeah, she loved it. She used it on her ice cream all the time. Because she normally just either gets, like a butter pecan or whatever, or she'll just get a vanilla bean or whatever and just put some caramel on it.
Yep. Cool. Well, we're kind of wrapping it up here, but you did say something about breakfast bake. So that just reminds me of when you were in hockey. Yep. And then the parents would do that breakfast on Wednesday mornings.
Or not night, mornings, yep.
And you guys would get done, and we'd have to be there ready for you to eat by 7 a.m. at the hockey rink. Yep. And that sausage, hash brown, the egg bake is what I would do. And you guys really liked that.
Yep. Those butterscotch muffins, those were really good too.
Yep.
Nonstop, people would talk about them in the locker room. When we'd get done, obviously, because we didn't really know getting off the ice who was making it that day. But once we were done with breakfast and we'd go down to change stuff and whatever, get ready to go to school and grab our car keys and everything that we left down in the locker room, everyone would be talking about them. And a lot of the kids would still have one. They'd take one to go and be eating it on their way to the school still.
Yeah,
so I know a lot of people like those. Yeah.
I would make a lot of those because I didn't mind if people grabbed a handful, and that was good. It was always it was fun. I miss some of those days. So
yeah.
Well, I did ask you if you have some podcasts that you wanted to share with people, just because it's fun to know what you listen to or what you.
I really I listen to one of the main podcasts. I don't listen to a lot of them, but one of the main ones I listen to is the Nelk Boys podcast. So I think the actual name of it is Full Send Podcast, because like I said, that's their brand, their fitness brand.
Okay.
So I think it's called the Full Send Podcast, and they're on YouTube and probably Spotify and everything else too, but they do a live video feed to it as well. It's like one of those podcasts that while they're talking, you can also see them. So it's on YouTube and you can watch it live, and I'm sure you could just listen to it on Spotify, but you won't actually see them.
Yeah.
But that's probably one of the main ones I watch, and they're just, part of it is their Full Send Fitness, and so they have a fitness line of supplements and everything, and then one of the guys that kind of is in the podcast, he owns a bunch of gyms down there in Los Angeles. But I started mainly watching them when they were known as the Nelk Boys. That's their main brand. That kind of started as like a prank channel way back when YouTube kind of started, and they were big into pranks. And they don't do them so much anymore now because they're more focused on the business aspect. They've grown up, and so now they focus more on their podcasts, and they have a lot of big guests. Some smaller ones that a lot of people might not know, but they also have people that you kind of have to be living under a rock to not know who they are. So they're a pretty big podcast, and I like to listen to them.
Did you say they had Shaq on there?
Yeah,
and
Shaquille O'Neal.
Big names like that.
Luke Combs. I mean, they've had country singers. They've had people like Elon Musk. I mean, they've had Cole Bennett, who does Lyrical Lemonade, who does a lot of music videos for rappers nowadays.
Oh.
Yeah, they've had all kinds of people on there.
Okay. Well, I'll put that in the show notes so that if somebody's interested to check it out, they can do that. Well, I have some surprise questions to ask you.
Uh-huh.
Pickles, sweet or dill?
I'd probably have to say dill. Probably.
But do you like sweet too?
I don't know if I've really had a sweet pickle.
Oh, okay.
I don't really.
Okay.
That's why I'd have to say dill, because I don't think I've had dill pickles. I know that, but I don't know if I've.
And I never really bought sweet.
I personally don't like pickles a whole lot.
Oh.
I started eating them now because the brand that Sydney gets is way different than a lot of the pickles I've had.
Oh. Olives, green or black?
Black. I do not like green. I like black olives, but not green olives.
You've always liked black ones.
Yeah.
Yep. Bananas, green or definitely yellow?
Yellow.
Yellow.
Yeah. I mean, I'll get them when they're green, so they kind of can last a little bit, whatever, and I wait a couple days, but no.
They're too hard when they're green,
I don't
and
like
they have a
green.
different flavor.
Yeah,
I swear.
they do. I don't think they have.
They're bitter.
Yeah, I don't think they have enough of that banana. Like, it's something else. I don't know.
Pizza, pepperoni or sausage?
Pepperoni.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too. I like sausage too, but if I had to choose, I would choose pepperoni. Yeah. Especially if you can get it crispy pepperoni on the top. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. And the last one, milk from a bowl of cereal. Drink it or dump it?
Drink it.
You drink it? You do?
I drink it. Yep. And
all right.
I mean, some cereals not as much, but some of the cereals, like I don't eat it very much anymore, cereal, but the strawberry frosted mini wheats.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what it was, but I always liked to drink, because it just made not like a super strong artificial strawberry milk, but milk with just a hint of strawberry to it. And I don't know why, but I liked it. So I always drank that.
In that one. Would you drink the milk in the other cereals? Like if you
a lot of them too, Fruit Loops and all that. But I wasn't like to die for Fruit Loop milk. I mean, I like the strawberry milk though, that the mini or frosted whatever mini wheats that they gave off. Well,
we're finished here, but I am going to come back someday and have Sydney come on, because she makes you some good food, and I want to know how somebody who doesn't like chocolate and somebody who doesn't like pizza can make some delicious meals like Sydney does.
Yeah, that'll be a good thing too to talk to her, is how she dealt with birthday parties growing up, because everyone got pizza. So she's told me the story a couple times. It's pretty good.
Well, thanks for coming on the podcast and helping make this possible to begin with, because if it weren't for you, I would not have figured out even how to hit record.
Well, you're welcome.
Thanks. Bye. He's so thoughtful, and I love that he adjusts how he makes the spaghetti pasta bake so that Sydney doesn't have to eat pepperoni, and how he started thinking about how he can make our favorite ice cream dessert in a way that she will surely like. And Sajen, if you're listening, we didn't even talk about the pumpkin chocolate chip cookies or the magic chicken noodle soup or the taco dip. So let's do another episode this fall. I looked in my cupboard, and the seasoning I think Sajen liked so much on the chicken we talked about in the beginning of the show is Kowalski's Market's Northwoods Grill Seasoning. There are 11 Kowalski's stores in the Minneapolis and St. Paul area. Now remember last week on the appetizer episode with my sisters, I asked you to dig out your recipe card for funeral potatoes, or cheesy hash browns, or hash brown casserole, whatever you call it in your family. I'm working on an episode for April about all the different ways we can make cheesy hash browns, and I want to include your recipe and name. There are a few ways you can participate, but the one I'm most excited about is for you to mail it to me on a handwritten 3x5 recipe or index card, along with your name and the story, or any anecdotes about it. I have a special recipe cabinet for recipe cards, so that's why I'm requesting this size if possible. My mailing address is 1614 130th Street, Verdi, Minnesota 56164. And I've also added that address to the show notes so that you can see it there. Or if you prefer, you can email the recipe to me at staci@randomsweets.com. That's STACI@randomsweets.com. For recipes and photos of the meals we talked about today and Sajen and our family, go to randomsweets.com, which I've linked in the show notes, along with a link to the full send podcast Sajen talked about. Thank you to those of you who have rated this podcast and who have listened to the first 10 episodes. Please help me in growing our community and share it with your family and friends who love the Midwest. I hope you subscribe or follow Funeral Potatoes and Wool Mittens wherever you get your shows so that you get an alert when a new episode is available, even if you binge listen to episodes on a Saturday morning cleaning the house. Sweet wishes!